Okay, welcome back, everybody. This is episode 349 of the John1911 Podcast. This one is going to be a little bit different because I've got new fancy microphones to use at the range because of the big barn. Using that same microphone while I'm driving from the range back to the office to solve a problem. So it is Friday afternoon, and we're way behind on podcasts, and I apologize for that. But in my defense, we're doing a lot better, generally speaking, with videos and content for the website. So it's the same old refrain as what's been going on in the past. It's construction and contractors. Without getting into too much detail, I guess I can say, why have one construction project for X amount of dollars when you can do 3 construction projects for 4 times the price? So if that sounds like your life, or something you've been involved in, then yeah, that's what we've been dealing with. So the good news is it will pay off in the long term for John1911. It's going to be significant upgrades, and you're already starting to see the benefits for, publishing content and producing content and getting more stuff out there, and even trying to bring on some more content creators. So for those of you that have been waiting for podcasts, I apologize. With these new microphones, I will, there's a nice Aston Martin. You may have even heard that. I can even possibly do some podcasts solo when I'm driving if it's something you guys, can tolerate, and if the audio is okay. I have been promised by some of our AV or our technical people that this microphone will block out stuff in the background, which is how we have it set up at the barn. So hopefully it'll work here in the truck. So as far as some, I want to, this is getting to be a little bit old news, but I keep getting emails on it, and I want to address it here. It's some news that came out of Silicon Valley and, YouTube in particular. And I do want to address it. We've had a lot of people send us messages talking about the recent passing of the CEO of YouTube. Well, the former CEO. I think her name was, I've seen her name probably 1,000 times in the business media. Jessica, I can't pronounce her name. So, but anyway, she passed relatively young. I mean, I'm 53. I'll be 53 here, and she's probably way younger than me. And she passed away. I think it was breast cancer. And while I understand the temptation to, I don't know how to put it, I understand the temptation to say things or do things or, dance on someone's grave. I'm not going to do that. I wouldn't do that for anybody. This person, she had a family, she had children, she had co-workers and friends and a life, and I'm not the kind of guy that's going to wish ill on somebody, especially the recently deceased. And while yes, I understand the temptation to give unto the goose, so to speak, the reality is the other side would do it to me. But this is just more proof that, and I hate to sound so immodest, but it's the truth. I mean, I'm better than them. And, I would like you to be better as well. There's nothing to be gained from playing the gotcha game or keeping score, especially, this woman passing. And it's really, what's going to happen to social media and what's going to happen to YouTube and a lot of these things is, whether it was her or somebody else, I'm not giving her a pass, but I'm not going to dance on her grave either. And I suggest a lot of you don't do it either. So yeah, you can stop sending me emails about this woman passing. I'm not going to wish her, whatever. I pray for her, and God rest her soul, and I hope her family finds some kind of, peace or meaning, going forward. I hope they're able to get beyond this. So, this is not a negative. I'm going to say this. As far as things have been keeping me busy, if I see one more pumper truck, I'm probably going to crap cement. Like, holy cow. Yeah, I didn't realize, I'm learning so much. It's not even, I guess it's concrete. I guess that was something else I was told. It's not, it's not cement, it's concrete, or is it concrete, not cement? I don't even know. I just know what it's costing, and it's been it's been a lot. So since you are listening to the podcast, and I feel like podcast listeners should generally get a heads up over regular content. We published a video asking questions about the CMP getting 800 rifles in, where'd they come from, what's going on with them, should we buy one, is it going to bring the market down, and what does the commenter say. So you will hear it here first. We have secured a Krag rifle. I have also been told it's a Krag Jorgensen, not a Krag Jorgensen. So I suspected it was Jorgensen, but I was kind of having fun with it. I don't do gun forums, so I don't really have to get the blowback. Maybe a lot of you do, you guys do. I'm having fun with it. So what happened? So we've been trying to get this, get a Krag. We said all this, trying to get a Krag for years. They're stupid expensive. As a general rule, we like rifles and not carbines. And I definitely didn't want a Bubba gun if I could avoid it. We used it for the reference collection, but we do shoot stuff. So a lot of these Krag rifles, if you get one that's unmolested and rifle length and whatever, I mean, they were $2,500, $3,000, $2,900. It was just bonkers prices, and it's like, we're not paying that. So we had found out that there's some guns up at Camp Perry, at least last I'd heard, and I was suspicious that when the CMP releasing 800 rifles onto the market, that it would pull the prices down, because what would happen is, why would somebody, the argument's going to be, someone's going to be on, say, Gunbroker, and they're going to be like, why would I spend $1,900 or $2,500 on a Krag rifle when I can just go to Camp Perry and get one for $13,000? And so, while that dude never actually goes to Camp Perry to get one, it does drive the prices down. So the day before we were to leave for Camp Perry, I decided to do a snapshot look at the market, and there you go, found a Krag rifle for sale. And I got it for less than what they were selling, like the premium grades were selling for at Camp Perry. So, that's a win. And then the other thing is, this rifle is so gorgeous. It's a model 1898, we believe. It's marked 1898, but the seller is telling us by serial number that it's made in 1899. So I guess that still technically qualifies as a Spanish-American war gun. I don't know. I'm not really that deep into it all. We'll do some research and we'll publish it on the website. So it's an 1898, but it's not one of these CMP guns. And not only is the wood in great condition, but man, the rifling, the barrel on this gun is gorgeous. Like, it is dynamite. Like JJ from Good Times. Like, I'm happy as hell. So we got a reference gun, cheaper than you could get it from CMP, probably with a better barrel if those are all, VFW turn-ins, shooting blanks through them at events, and, saved a ton of money. So, I mean, it's almost like a Geico commercial. Like, it's fantastic. So that's kind of the news, what's going on with the Krag. We have filmed some videos, and, we'll publish them, and we'll get some mileage out of it. We will obviously shoot the gun. Do we have any 30-40 Krag ammo? I am almost willing to bet not. I'm not going to say 100% we don't have something in like the random area, but still, with everything kind of still packed up, we're not as organized as we could be. So, that's coming, but give me a little bit of time to source some ammo, because I'm in the middle of a bunch of other projects and construction. Also, of course, if we're going to have a reference rifle and it's military issue, and military issue requires a bayonet, well, we got to get a bayonet. So we did get one of those as well. I would say the bayonet is, I just gotta stop saying bayonet. The bayonet is not as nice as the rifle. I gotta clean it up. It's not gonna say it. It's not rusty, but it's just not as nice. It's, a little chip out of the handle, and the very tip of the blade is a little hinky. It's just got a little. I don't know if it's a bent. Maybe I can kind of hammer it back, or if the little edge of the point, it's ever so slight that you wouldn't even notice it. I actually didn't even notice it, when we bought it, and I didn't notice it until we got it back to the armory. So project, we'll clean them up. We'll take some bow saw to it and try to, get it looking good. But so we've got a Krag rifle and a bayonet, thanks to CMP, but we didn't get it from CMP. So some of you probably noticed that Kraken and I were kind of joking in our text messages, and I sometimes will publish some stuff from our text message chain because, I shoot guns. I'm not, we run a collection, but I don't know every little itty bitty thing. And also, even on the tactical side, I know more tactical stuff, but as far as, this is going to sound bad. Like, I'm not saying, Kraken's a gear queer, but, Kraken definitely knows a lot more of the latest and greatest SKUs of everything that comes out. So, so here's the project. We've got this Gemtech integrally suppressed upper. I think they've now been bought by Smith & Wesson, and it was made for the Army Surge program. If you know what that is, great. If not, whatever, they didn't get the contract. So, we got this thing, and it took me a couple of years, well, more than that, a while to get it running, and it's because I'm not really an AR guy, like, not every little itty-bitty thing. So it turns out an integrally suppressed AR with a 10-inch barrel probably should have, a pretty heavy buffer in it. And so we went to H2, and then we went to H3, and then we went to an H3 with a heavier spring, and then that still wasn't quite keeping it going, and so we went to an H4. And H4 is, I would guess, H4 is kind of like a made-up thing, kind of like 9mm plus P+. I don't think there is a standard H4 buffer weight, but there's a company, I think it was in the Carolinas, Barnes, not that Barnes, another Barnes, that makes these, heavyweight buffers that, and that gun runs like a champ. Like, it works great, super happy with it. Well, that basically means that lower is pretty much dedicated to the Gemtech, because I'm not going to be swapping out all that. So I'm just not, like, so there is a second upper that we've been, you probably heard that truck. There's a second upper that, I've had for a while. It's a BCM upper. It's got a key mod forend on it, and I got a deal on it like one Christmas, because all the cool kids, they don't want key mod, so nobody wanted this, so BCM was blowing them out, and so I was like, well, I don't care. And it's super lightweight, 14.5-inch barrel pin. It was a 14.5-inch barrel. I had to have it pinned because I just bought it as an upper. So I'd still like to be able to shoot that as a regular 14.5 with all the velocity AR. Well, I need a new lower. So looking around, and since the Gemtech is a dedicated training gun, it's what I classify as a working gun. Like, if I'm shooting drills or I'm trying to be a performance-based shooter, I'm running that gun. So that gun has a 45-degree selector on it. It's got a Geisley SD3G trigger. Side note, that could be an issue. I'll bring that up in a minute. So the gun is set up, to kind of run a gun and burn it down, like Pat McNamara, burn it down. So not that I can burn it down, but, I'm doing pretty good for an old guy. Well, I need a new lower, and so it's like I have to rebuild this whole thing. Well, I started noticing on the internet that for whatever reason, there are complete lowers that people are selling. They're new, and they've got the half the stuff I want in them. So we found a lower, and it's made by Daniel Defense, the Double D, or as a Roadhouse, the Double Douche. And I have zero experience with Daniel Defense. I'm sure they're a fine company. Kraken tells me that they're popular now, that they're like maybe bougie. Like, I don't know, like, I mean, okay, like, I figured they were kind of like BCM. So, you know, it's like, okay. Well, it was between that and a Noveski lower that I had found. But the Noveski lower was getting retarded. And I was like, why is this so expensive? Mustang with straight pipes next to me. No, not straight pipes. He definitely has an upgraded exhaust, but not straight pipes. So, what was I saying? So, you know, this Noveski, I don't know anything about Noveski. I haven't paid attention to Noveski. I knew who Johnny Noveski was, but it's just, you know, I'm busy shooting guns. I don't, like, get into the, you know, I don't know, like, putting a brand on the internet like, ooh, this is like, you know, I own this gun, so it's great, which is what most of these people do. So, anyway, with a little direction from Kraken, we secured this Daniel Defense lower. It is tan. I mean, it's not brown, but it's not FDE. I don't know what like a light tan. I don't know what they call it, but it's got the Daniel Defense stock, which I guess seems okay. I don't if maybe it'll cause me problems. It has 90-degree safeties, 90-degree safeties. You know, standard GI, it's got ambi 90-degree safeties. I'm going to swap those out for 45-degree safeties. But it's got an SD3G trigger in it, a Geissele trigger. So I'm like, great, it's got the trigger in it. You know, it's interesting. It's a different color. So the combination of a black upper and a tan lower, a black BCM upper and a Daniel Defense double douche from Roadhouse lower tan, to me, makes it easy to kind of tell that gun from all the other guns in the reference collection, or if there's guns, multiple people shooting rifles at the range, it helps me a lot because every gun is black and it just kind of, it gets to be a little tedious and it kind of gets hard to kind of tell things, you know, apart when you're laying them down. So it works for me. Like, it doesn't work, it mismatch all this stuff doesn't work, you know, for the cool kids on the internet, I'm sure, but these are the same kids that buy stuff on the internet, put them in their AR, then say they have a build. You know, I don't believe in build ARs. I know there are guys out there like there's a few of you that are on our website. You guys definitely know what you're doing, love it, respect it. I'm not one of them. So I like to buy factory uppers because I like my shit to run. I don't have the ability to do that. So the Mustang is pulling away. So yeah, so we've got this Noveski double douche BCM whatever thing, and I'm just curious how that's going to go over, you know, on the internet, and, you know, if it's going to cause a bunch of drama with the, what I would call the usual suspects from the gun forums crowds, but it's not published yet. You'll probably see it up in the upcoming week, but you'll learn about it here on the podcast first. Okay, so let's get into some other stuff. Let's talk about a little bit of social media. We're going to talk about Facebook a little bit. So, you know, a lot of people get throttled, our content. We're kind of getting hammered on Facebook a little bit behind the scenes. We have not violated their rules, but they say we have violated their rules, and it's caused a few problems. So, you know, we're dealing with it. So, you know, I have been taking different tacks and tracks to get around the, you know, the throttling or the low-key censorship that Facebook is kind of doing, and, you know, it works. But, you know, one of the things I do is, you know, look, John1911, our motto is shooting guns and having fun. You know, if you want to be a tier 1 space shuttle door gunner, you know, I mean, more power to you. I respect that. You know, I've known some. The reality is I'm not going to be a tier 1 space shuttle door gunner. I just want to be the best shooter I can be. And, you know, I encourage all of you to be the best shooter you can be in the real world. And you should push yourself, and maybe you'll discover, you know, if you can be the best shooter you can be, and I've also noticed have fun doing it, you tend to be more successful in life. So, you know, I occasionally will publish some jokes or stuff on our social media on Facebook, just to kind of break it up a little bit. Not everything has to be tactical and cool and whatever. And so there's this, again, I'm a person of a certain age, okay? I'm in my 50s. I saw Cannonball Run in the movie theater. My father and I went to see Cannonball Run. I was, I don't know, maybe 10 or 11. And, I love all those movies, Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise and, they're just like that whole genre. That's what I grew up with. I mean, I love cars from the 80s and the 90s. Like, that's my jam, right? So there's this photograph that I published on Facebook, and it's a photograph of Michael Jackson and Freddie Mercury. And, and it says Michael Jackson. The picture has a title to it, a caption. It says Michael Jackson and Freddie. Or no, it says Burt Reynolds and Sammy Davis Jr. On the set of Cannonball Run 1982 or whatever it was. And it's hilarious, like, to someone like me, because most of you young folks, I hate to sound like an old man. Like, I used to hate that, but now I am an old man. Like, I've got gray hair, and and 20-year-old girls don't look at me anymore, so I guess I'm an old man. So, I put this up, and it was most 90, like, literally all of you got the joke. It's just funny. It's like, it's a reference to stuff from my generation. It's, also kind of like the, you're in the club, you recognize this is wrong. If, if you're from where we come from, and, it's not a big deal. Until this one guy comes in, and he is having a complete freaking meltdown. And he's a gun guy, and you look him up, he's in California, and he is just, he is having a complete meltdown. He is like, fuck you guys, this is bullshit. How dare you disrespect an American icon? I guess it's about Burt Reynolds. I'll have a story about Burt Reynolds here in a minute. And, I love guns, but I'm going to, fuck this page, or fuck you guys, or, whatever. And it's like, like, we're all just laughing. And so other people start rolling in, and they're kind of poking him a little bit, like, relax, Francis. Again, that's another old movie joke. And he is literally threatening people. This guy is literally threatening people. And it's just like, Kraken, I'm not in there. Kraken, sends me a message like, hey, Kraken's like, I'm going to let you take care of this because you posted this. I'm like, shit. So it's kind of like 11 o'clock at night. And, I basically tell the guy, like, he should be ashamed of himself. And I was like, well, maybe he'll back off. And, but I figure by the morning I'm going to have to ban him. So I went to bed. And I get up, and sure enough, I look, and it's, come find me, I'm easy to find. Just this crazy shit getting on the internet. And, so I'm like, who is this guy? So look him up, and he's a gun guy. He's in California, and apparently, Kraken says he's in San Francisco. Kraken was convinced. He's so uptight about all this stuff, and I guess calling Burt Reynolds gay, that Kraken's like, I think the guy, he's so homophobic, I think the guy's gay. Guy's like, Kraken's killing me. And it's like, I don't want, So anyway, it's like, well, we've obviously lost this guy. He's unsalvageable, and he's threatening other members. I should have banned him before I went to bed, so that I banned him the next day. So what's the point? Well, first of all, like, y'all need to get a grip, okay? It's social media. It's not holy warfare, no one is, I'm, and what's the guy from the movie? I'm in Teno Montoya, you killed my father, prepared to die. It's like, what the fuck? And you go to this guy's Facebook page, and he's got all this crazy shit, even though he's a gun guy. You can tell the guy is a borderline SWAT call waiting to happen. And I'm just like, okay, because we published a meme that goes beyond the typical just trying to merge with traffic and almost got run off the road. The typical gun content, it gets people share it more, so it reaches more people. So this guy, it somehow pops up on his radar, and he's got to make it into like a federal case. And while that's fine, and I can sit and I can say, go see a therapist. It sounds like, you have latent homosexual tendencies. The reality is, you have to, this is my opinion on social media. And it's contrary to a lot of people. And so it's why I don't worry about the woman at YouTube. And I don't really worry about Facebook. And I don't worry about, a lot of this stuff. The truth is, it does not do us any good to reach everybody. Okay? It just doesn't. Not everybody, our content isn't for everybody. Our, state troopers coming behind me, reading my plates. Our content isn't for everybody. Our sense of humor isn't for everybody. Our approach to training and shooting and collecting and politics isn't for everybody, including some conservatives, which is totally fine. So, I'm of the belief that if for some reason 360 million Americans were to somehow magically become aware of John 1911, it would probably collapse our social media. It would not be a good thing. It would be a terrible thing, because everybody would have an opinion. Most people would not be buying into what we're trying to achieve, and it would just be a shit show and a slam fest, and we'd end up having to shut off all the comments. Now, I'm going to give you an example of that to kind of prove the point. This is a true story. This is 100% true. This is a reference to Twitter. We were on Twitter, and our Twitter account was throttled. It was during the riots during President Trump's administration, and we published a comment, and it was violent. Let's see, what was it? Looters need to be. Violent protesters need to be arrested, what was it? Something. So basically, like, violent was some kind. Basically saying if you are committing acts of violence, you should be arrested, and if you're out there looting, you should be shot. And I think I might have, and then like a follow up might have been like, hey, not that I'll be a man of the times, if you want me to be a reflection of the current age, I'm okay with shooting the white looters first. I don't care. Well, Twitter just wasn't going to have that shit. You can, these commies can get on Twitter, and they can coordinate dropping off pallets of bricks and bringing weapons and doing all this stuff, on social media. But I can't, have an opinion about law and order. And so they said, your account will be suspended until you remove this post. And so I screen grabbed it, I saved it, and I'm like, we done, bitches. Like, we're done. So, but that was the last straw. Now, let me tell you two other things that happened. This is 100% true. We have been blocked by two groups on Twitter. It was now called X, but it's called Twitter back then. I'm still called Twitter. This is 100% true. I can still prove it. And I actually like both these people, both these groups. And one of them's going to shock you. The first group that blocked us, this person engaged with us on Twitter. Her name is, what her name out of my head? This is what I get for driving and I lose my train of thought. The woman who, the redheaded comedian who had the holding up Trump's, a prop of Trump's decapitated head. So, God, I can't remember. This one right out of my head. So, anyway, she was, I don't know, we were posting stuff about gun control or something on social media, and she was engaging with us, and, I beat her. I beat her. And so, she blocked us. And it was like, okay, so she chose to engage with us because she saw what we were posting. She didn't like the way it went, and so she blocked us. Well, I didn't like the way that guy was talking on our Facebook page about Burt Reynolds, and so we blocked him. So, she has the right to do it. But the reality is, John 1911 in our content, Kathy Griffin. Our content's not for that woman. I actually before she went crazy, I always liked her brand of comedy. She's a storyteller. She would do these specials called My Life on the D List. I legitimately can tell you that, I was a fan of her comedy. She's a storyteller, not a knock-knock joke person. And I'm not saying she was, super hilarious, but she told good stories, and she could carry a special, and I liked her comedy. Again, I knew she's a lib. I knew she's borderline commie and probably crazy, but it's whatever. She's a comedian. I don't have to hate her. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to be shocked that she hates me, but that's what you get when all of a sudden she's looking at John 1911. So you're of course you're listening to this, and you're well, of course, Kathy Griffin and Griffith, whatever her name was. Again, she's on the D list. Can't get her name right. You all know what I'm talking about. She's she's no Robin Williams, right? So we had an incident with another account on Twitter that blocked us because we interfaced with them, and they didn't like it because we called them out on something that made them look bad, and they blocked us. And that Twitter account is the United States Military Academy at West Point, Department of History. I shit you not. This is provable. I can show it. They blocked us. And so, I have a past life. I have a relationship with West Point. I have a relationship with staff there. I have a relationship with graduates from West Point. It's a professional relationship. And, some personal too. And so this isn't a completely rando interaction. Well, the Department of History, because again, they're a Department of History, they may not necessarily, you'd think they would be interested in history, but they actually posted a photograph of cadets at United States Military Academy at West Point, and they were doing something celebrating Hispanic heritage or Hispanics in America or something of that thing, and somehow talking about Hispanic or Spanish history and, the contributions of these people in the history of the United States. And you're you can make an argument that's worth talking about. I mean, you can't talk about the Battle of the Alamo. You can't talk about Texas. You can't talk about settling in the West, especially in the Southwest and Arizona and New Mexico. You can't talk about anything. We'll talk about Mexico and the Spanish and the Hispanics. You can't do any of that without, talking about that. Well, what does the West Point Department of History decide to do? They take their history majors and feed them Taco Bell. I shit you not. Now, I don't know if they deleted, now it's going to rain, so you're definitely going to hear that noise. I don't know if they deleted the post. I couldn't tell, but they blocked my ass. So, if you want to see if they still have the post about feeding their history majors at West Point, future leaders of the military and possibly leaders of the country, Taco Bell, for Hispanic history something or other, and you think that's okay, man, it's really coming down now. But so we'll, what did Bill O'Reilly say when he was trying to film the segment? And he's like, F it, we'll do it live. F it, we'll do it live. Fuck it. So, it's hopefully it's not messing up the audio too much. So what's the point? I'm not that worried about reaching everybody. I don't worry about that. Also, since we have our own website and we've wanted our own website from the beginning, we've invested everything we publish that's of value or of significance goes on our website. Facebook cannot knock us off the internet. YouTube cannot knock us off the internet. Twitter cannot knock us off the internet. We have our own website. I'm going to hit pause until the rain stops, and then I will keep going. Okay, we're out of the rain now for at least a minute. So, with all that said, I look at all these social media platforms. We are not YouTubers. We don't have a YouTube channel. We have a website. All of our videos are hosted on our website. YouTube deletes a video. It doesn't delete off our website like some people do. Oh, the rain's coming back. So also, we're also uploading videos to Facebook. We started doing that probably about 2 weeks ago because I noticed, so what happened in particular was I would publish thumbnails to Facebook, and then I would, in the comments section, have a link out to YouTube, to the YouTube channel that want to watch a video on YouTube, or a link out to the post on our website for people that want to watch a video on our website. Well, one of the thumbnails I posted for a single shot break action shotgun made in like 1902, Facebook said they flagged it as being trying to sell guns. And it's because it was an old-timey line drawn image, probably from like a JCPenney catalog, the image we used for the thumbnail. So it was like, well, shit, they flagged it as we're trying to sell guns. I appealed it. They're not coming down off of it. It's a pretty big strike. We're obviously not trying to sell guns. We're not breaking the rules. It's historical reference. So it's like, well, okay. I was looking at what are they rewarding right now? Facebook wants to reward, video stuff. And it's like, well, okay. The video, the thumbnail gets flagged by Facebook, as selling guns, but the actual video, they're like, great. I mean, it's got couple thousand views on it or maybe more. It's like, this is just, does it matter? We have a huge Facebook account. Do I want Facebook to delete our account? No, not really. But you know what? If they do, I'm not going to panic one bit. I'll just turn around, start another Facebook thing, boop, start another YouTube channel, boop, start another whatever social media, and just upload to it. Maybe some of the older videos that I feel like get a lot of traction, I would just re-upload them real quick. By the way, fun fact, as far as this is me talking to people in the in the technical side. I'm able to upload videos to social media, like these social media outlets, since we host them on our own website. I literally just have to push a button on the internet and it automatically will upload it to it. I don't have to copy and paste and do it manually. I can literally just boop, 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 just re-upload it off our servers. I mean, it's great. I could re-upload. I could probably re-upload, 100 videos in an hour. I mean, I really could. We only have 700 and some videos. I could probably reconstitute an entire YouTube channel or on Facebook, as far as videos are concerned, within hundreds of, I could do it a business day. It would have full descriptions, full tags, full titles, thumbnails. I've already done all the work on the back end. It's all automatic now. So I look at all this, so I don't sweat. I don't get nervous on social media. We don't get nervous about our channel because we're not a channel. Who cares about that? We don't worry about, people having meltdowns on social media. We laugh. It's what I tell Kraken all the time. We are the happy warriors. It's all about shooting guns and having fun. Just relax, Francis. Want to bring up another issue. This is directed to an individual person. You know who you are. I'm going to say your first name, Brandon. So I did a video talking about broken holsters on the, I better get over, this boy is moving, and I am driving a truck, not a sports car. I break holsters. I break Kydex holsters, AIWB holsters, Kydex. I'm getting about 2.5 years out of them, 3 years max. I crack them to the point where they're not safe and I have to replace them. It doesn't matter who makes them. JM Custom Kydex, keeper's concealment. So basically, whether you're using a heat gun and you are forming holsters by hand, or whether you're vacuum forming kind of on an industrial scale, doesn't matter. I'm still cracking these holsters. So guy came in, Brandon, you know who you are, and I guess Brandon does leather holsters, and he offered to make us a holster for our Wilson EDC X9L. It's my double stack 2011-ish double stack 1911 gun. It's not a 2011. It's better than a 2011 by a country mile. And, I was kind of hard on you, Brandon, because I'm a super dick about holsters, because I think most holsters that out there are no good. And, I'm kind of, because I carry guns every day. I draw from holsters. I know a lot about holsters. I know a lot about using a holster. I'm not saying I know a lot about making a holster, but I certainly know a lot about breaking the damn things, or sliming them out leather. So I've been thinking about it, Brandon. And if you listen to this podcast, if you are open to possibly figuring out how to make an AIWB leather holster for the Wilson EDCX9L, I'd be willing to talk to you about it. And if we could coordinate it, offline, because what I wouldn't want you to do is be like, you just make a holster, then you send it over, and then everything that I find wrong with it, and there'll be stuff, it's nothing, maybe not, maybe it'll be like, oh my God, it's the greatest holster ever, but there's going to be stuff I find wrong with it, and that I just I talk about it. It's like, I'm not going to do that to you. Why don't I work with you, if you're interested, see if it's possible to make an AIWB leather rig for the Wilson gun, and let's see what we can do. I will say this: at what was the show I was at? I was at a show. Was that the NRA show? A couple years ago, and met a guy, leather holster maker. I'm not going to say his name. We've been so busy with moving the office, the armory in the office and all that, and all the construction at the range. I really haven't time to deal with it. But he's making leather holsters. He made a holster for the X9L, and it's an outside the waistband holster, because I wanted an outside the waistband holster, and I was like, yeah, it's great. And it's like, oh, this is great. Cut it for this, make it for this, red dot, whatever. Make it a high, high sweat guard, because I like that. And, I paid for the holster, and he sent it over, and I just didn't realize he does something that I didn't know people did this for leather holsters. What he does is he's got this flap on the back of the holster. I think it has 2 buttons on it, or maybe it folds over the front. But what it is basically he has one size. So most holsters will be like, for concealed carry, will be like 1.5 inch high belts or 1.75 inch belts. What this guy does is he makes one flap that works for both. I didn't even catch that at the show, and he sent this over, and I saw that, and I'm just like, oh fuck, I didn't even put it on, because what's going to happen is the holster moves. If I'm not wearing a 175 belt, or I don't know, maybe it's even bigger than 175, but it was like, man, I understand why he does it, because it saves him manufacturing and probably cost, but it's like, it's crap like that just ruins this stuff. It's like, holsters it is so important that a holster has to be secure, has to, do what it's supposed to do, has to hold the gun right. Most holsters, I would say half the holsters made don't hold the gun correctly on the belt line. And the holster has to stay put. It cannot move. I pull that gun out and I'm drawing it, and then I need to put that reholster that gun quickly. And here's the thing, people that tell you don't have to reholster quickly, okay, I get it. But in the real world, I can tell you times I've had to reholster quickly to keep me from getting shot. So, I don't want to have to look a gun into a holster just to put the gun in the holster. I want to have the ability that holster will be in the exact same spot when I pull that thing out in extremis. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit. All of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, put it away. And, Brandon, I didn't mean to be so hard on you in the comments. If you listen to the podcast, reach out to me. I'd like to talk about it, see if it's even possible. And if I don't hear from you, at the very least, I know you don't listen to the podcast. Somebody sent me a message asking if I could tell them what's going on with KUSA or Kalashnikov USA. I guess they've gone out of business, and my answer is I have no idea. I didn't know they went out of business. I figured they were in trouble. I assume, I don't know details, I'm assuming here, I could be completely wrong, but I thought that Kalashnikov USA was kind of wrapped up with, it's an American entity from people in Russia doing business in the U.S. and consider, certain, unpleasantries, in Eastern Europe. I would have thought that the future of KUSA or Kalashnikov USA, which might be why they're calling themselves KUSA, kind of was spelled in the beginning and the end of that company. So I don't know what's going on. I don't follow any of that. Don't know, just don't know. So someone else reached out, wanted to know what I thought about, there's a company called ACW, Alchemy Custom Weaponry. I really don't have a lot of experience with them or contact with them. They don't know us from Adam. I guess they are also Cabot, and I'll tell you why I don't like Cabot guns. Generally speaking, as a philosophy, I don't like Cabot guns, really. There are a few exceptions. So it's just not a brand I really pay attention to. But I guess Alchemy has come out with a 2011, and I'm like, I am well known my problems with 2011s, over-railed, over-lugged, big frame for 9mm. But let me finish the thought. Alchemy has come out with a 2011 in 45 ACP, and I guess it's kind of got this retro look, to look kind of like a GI gun from, a US GI 1911, but obviously it's a double stack 2011. So it's in 45, and it's like, well, and it's going to be a custom gun. It's not like a pair of ordnance or like these 2011s back in the day and how terrible they were. It's like, I don't know, like actually that would be a 2011 that in theory I could kind of get my head around, because that's one of the fundamental weaknesses with all the 2011s that everybody's running around with today. And again, if you're you here and you're like, well, 2011 is Staccato STI and it's not 2011, that format of gun in a 9mm with that big ass frame using those big ass magazines and all that is size for 45 is insane to me. But, doing one in 45, getting 15 rounds of 45 ACP. I mean, I'm not saying I'd make that a primary gun, but yeah, that's as appealing to me as a Glock 21. I like the Glock 21. I think that's probably a gun worth buying. I don't know what the cost of them would be, but I'd be willing to bet you whatever the special run of these 45 ACP double stack guns are, they're probably going to add that to the regular line. So you'll probably see more pedestrian offerings from that company. And yeah, I don't know, like it wouldn't be that hard. It's really just kind of do all the other stuff. So yeah, I think a 45 ACP double stack 1911 is certainly, interesting, especially if it's super high quality. Because back in the day, that was always the problem with 2011s, because I considered going to a 2011 when I need higher capacity, but I couldn't tolerate the issues with the stupid magazines and the reliability. It was tuning the magazines. Even in 45 ACP, it was a no-go. And so, I was running 45 single stacks as, like a real working gun, and I couldn't keep up with people. And eventually I ended up going to the 9mm. So yeah, I think a 45 2011 is certainly, that's got my attention. So yes, I have been seeing all the drama on the internet over Ben Stoeger, say it Steger, spell it Stoeger, his red dot plates coming off of his training guns, 30,000 rounds, 40,000 rounds, 50,000 rounds, plates failing. I don't remember the exact CHWP or CPI. I don't know. So, but I do have some guesses here. The Wilson Combat red dot that we run on the X9L uses the Wilson Combat Plate System. And I will admit that when we first got that, when we saw that plate system, it was like, well, yeah, it's kind of big. It's like, it's not as svelte or not as, not as streamlined as some of these other options or the direct mill options. And I remember Wilson talking about it, and they were basically saying that there's lugs built into their system. So, it actually, they engineered it so it stays. And, we've got 11,000 rounds through the X9L. Once we pick it back up and I find the holster, I'll be running that gun as a primary again, and we'll be closing in on 20,000 rounds before you know it. I mean, if not by the end of the year, definitely by spring. So, and that thing is just held up like a champ, like it's not a blip, nothing. And, and you look at some of these plate systems and people talking about the screws are shearing off, and it's like, well, why is your red dot, why is the recoil being imparted onto the screws? Like, I didn't know we were using screws as like recoil lugs. Like, what are we doing here? So, and also when you consider something too, the Wilson red dot plate system is designed for 45 and it's designed for 38 Super. And, they know damn well someone's going to put that on a 10 millimeter. So if you're through deduction, I'm not saying I've tested all these things, but I mean, I've got a sample size of 1. I feel real good about that plate system. If you're looking for a red dot mounting system for your gun, they make them for Glocks, they make them for SIGs, they even make a smaller version for the skinny little guns, the P365. I mean, I would definitely consider giving old Wilson Combat a look for I think they call it the True Zero system, because it's got irons in it. They have the different floor plates, and for the different types of red dots, and that shit doesn't come off like ours doesn't. And it looks like a tank. And you look at like the stuff that's flying off these guns, the MOS system or some of these aftermarket plates. These people are like, oh, so-and-so company has to really do something about their quality control because there's a bunch of plates coming off these guns. It's like, well, holy shit, I wouldn't even want to bother with that plate because it's already kind of like a borderline design just looking at it. So, there's that to share. A couple more things, and then we're going to go ahead and call it because I've been going, I think, close to an hour. So, first thing is, I have seen that Mr. Guns and Gear, last I checked, has had his Patreon account disabled or banned or locked out, whatever it is, and it was like, like I don't know. I mean, I know who Mr. Guns and Gear is, like most of you. I don't know this person, like he and I don't talk. He doesn't know us. But, it was the whole problem with Patreon back when Patreon was coming up. I understand you can set up to have people give you money and put up content, but very quickly it's going to be the same problem. The people that run Patreon, you don't own that platform. Don't build a house on rented ground. You risk, having it taken away. And I think that you look at the guys at C and Arsenal. Wow, is that one of those Ferrari sports car, Ferrari SUVs? Yes, it is. So you look at like a group like C and Arsenal, Matthias and May. They have their channel on YouTube. I think it's a very good channel. I think it's world class. I think there's a chance that will survive. Their content will survive in various forms 100 years from now. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. But they're on rented ground. They are so hidebound by YouTube. That's where they get their audience, but they don't get any advertising. So then they went over to Patreon, and they have a second channel, a second avenue to reach people and to give money to them. We actually give money to them. That's how much I believe in what they do. And they are so scared shitless of doing something. They are so precarious. They don't get shit from YouTube. They get throttled. And if they make one mistake on Patreon, it's been made clear to them, they get their stuff turned off, they're out of business. I mean, they are done. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's like why we invested in building a website. And I think that a lot of these social gun people. I think it's, I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but, we're sitting pretty. I don't sweat it that much. Interesting, there's a, who is it? I saw it it came out in the business wire services. The Sons of Liberty Gun Works, an AR-15 manufacturer, they have decided to purchase M4carbine.net, which is, we've been on M4 Carbine. I haven't been on there in a while, but, we've been on M4 Carbine. And so it's obvious, like, some of these websites, as opposed to social media properties, these websites are starting to have some more intrinsic value because you can see the writing on the wall. I mean, it would benefit us to no end if all of a sudden one day, YouTube's like, all guns off the internet. And I got news for you guys. I mean, I hate to say this, but if that kid who took a shot at Trump had killed Trump, and he's wearing a Demolition Ranch YouTubers t-shirt, and Trump had been killed, YouTube, I think there's a high likelihood that YouTube would have basically, within a week, come out with a corporate decision, no more guns on YouTube at all. It's over. And, you can sit there and you can say to yourself, well, they didn't do that, so it's fine. Well, it didn't happen, so it's fine. Well, you're one news story away from having that happen. And if you are a content creator and you are not investing in yourself, I am warning you. You are going to wake up one day and have your balls cut off by these dudes in California. Start websites. Even like Ian McCollum, that's why he did his History of Weapons and War. It's an app, which is, functionally a website. He's using the same technology we're using for the back end on our website. We could easily start an app. We have all the infrastructure already in place because he knows, like, his whole life, he does that full time. Like, every day he could wake up and it's like, do I still have a job? Do I still have a business? It's like, I feel sorry. It's why everything that we publish goes on a website. I don't worry about it disappearing off the internet. If you're really interested in us, you'll find us. They nuke us, you'll find us. If they delete our channel and I have to start a new channel with one follower, you'll be the second follower, you'll find us. I'm just not that worried about it. I relax. I don't have to. I go to sleep every night and I wake up every morning loving the internet because the internet loves us, because you can't touch me on the internet. You can't hurt us one bit. And that would be my advice to you guys, on that. So we're not going to do a police blotter. I'm going to do one more thing on here that I'm probably the last person to see this, and I'm kind of surprised by it. I saw a video brought up on YouTube from Iraq veteran 8888. Is it Chad and Eric? Right? Is that right? Chad and Eric? I think so. So Eric. So IV8888 guy. And there was something comes up in it's rendered to me by YouTube, and it says, like, why I haven't done a video in so long. And I was like, oh shit, I hadn't even really noticed. I don't really consume a lot of, that kind of content. I make it. So I didn't know this, but I guess that guy, like, his whole life is completely changed. I guess Eric now has, Chad now has or works for an AR manufacturer in Georgia. The IV8888 guy, Eric, he is divorced from his wife. He's selling most of his gun collection. I guess he's selling his home and or his gun range, if he owned that gun range, and maybe he's moving to Florida. And I was just like, holy cow. Like, I feel terrible for the guy. Like, I don't know what, and he was talking about drug and alcohol free, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on there? Like, did he lose his FFL or something? Did something happen? And here's the thing, I guarantee you, all you guys know about it. I had no idea. Like, this apparently happened many months ago. So he is using an FFL. I think it's his former business partner, co-host FFL, to sell his guns. So he's not using his FFL. So did he lose one, or not have one. So we've started following his gun. He's liquidating guns like crazy on the internet. And he starts them off at a penny. He puts like 4 or 5 up at a time. And some of those guns I saw, I was like, that's a good price. I mean, I thought that was fair price. So we're absolutely going to be looking at, his content. And, if he's got guns, he's got to sell. I just hope everything's okay. I hope, again, I don't wish anything bad on the former CEO of YouTube. I definitely don't wish anything bad on the guy that runs IV8888 YouTube channel. I did detect through social media, I guess he's got himself a cute little girlfriend now. So, so whatever happened there, he recovered. So good for you, brother. So anyway, well, that wraps up episode 349 of the John 1911 podcast. I don't know if you're even going to be hearing this, because for all I know, the audio is going to be complete shit. But if it's not, and you want to see more content or hear more content like this, please go to the website at john1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun, everybody. Have a good day.